Ago.
Amen.
Ago.
Amen.
Ago.
Amen.
So today we are talking about reparations, and I wanted to start off with a few ideas. But anytime I do a talk, I always like to make it as interactive as possible. So when I say reparations, I want you to say retribution. Reparations?
Retribution.
Reparations?
Retribution.
Reparations?
Retribution.
Very good. And in talking about the talk today, my brother Mao he came and he said, you know, sometimes when people think about reparations, they think about begging white people for money in some lump sum. And he said, this isn't what we're talking about. I was very happy to hear him say that because I think there's so much more. And the first thing that I wanted to discuss was on reparations. How do you repair what is still actively in the process of being destroyed? Picture you are beating someone. Picture you are beating, not to remind someone of pain, but picture Major Muhammad being beaten. Now imagine you are going to put a band-aid as he's still being beaten. First you have to stop those who are beating him. You understand? You have to stop those who are beating him before you can start talking about repairing the damage that's done. But there's damage that's still being ongoing. So reparations, retribution. Reparations,
Retribution.
reparations.
Retribution.
These are big words. I want us to understand even what we're talking about when we're saying these. So definition of reparations, we're talking about the action of making amends for a wrong one has done by providing payment or other assistance to those who have been wronged. That's what reparations is from a dictionary definition. So the example is the courts required a convicted offender to make financial reparation to his victim. So we're talking about amends, restitution, redress, compensation. That one is reparations.
Retribution.
Anytime I say it, I'm seeing who's paying attention.
Okay.
Now when we say retribution, what is that? Now retribution is punishment inflicted on someone as vengeance for a wrong or criminal act. So employees asked not to be named, saying they feared retribution. So retribution is something slightly different from reparations. It means one is saying you did wrong, now pay or do something. This one is saying, well, where is the justice? Where's the punishment? If a child goes and steals something and you don't spank that child, it will go on to steal more things. So where's the punishment for the wrong you've done? Both are saying a wrong has been done. And I think we understand that historically. But now we're going to talk about not only reparations, reparations!
Retribution.
Reparations!
Retribution.
Very good. And I want to give you a quote from one of our esteemed ancestors, Malcolm X. He says, if you stick a knife 9 inches into my back and pull it out 3 inches, that is not progress. Even if you pull it all the way out, that is not progress. Progress is healing the wound, and America hasn't even begun to pull out the knife. This is what we're talking about. How can you repair when you are still in the process? Not only have you not pulled out the knife, you are moving it around. You are stabbing it to the left and right. You understand? So when we're talking about reparations,
Retribution.
should also be part of what we're dealing with. And again, for those of you who are old enough to remember, in 1991, Rodney King, this is when they had the LA rebellions. Rodney King was beaten mercilessly by 4 police officers. Now, if you are talking about some type of reparations, imagine he's still being beaten and you're saying, let's put a band-aid, let's put some gauze, let's put some, whatever on him. But first you have to stop those police who are beating him mercilessly and senselessly. So as we're talking about reparations, it should be part of it. Now what am I talking about? There's a very good book I want you to take note of. It's called The New Jim Crow, Mass Incarceration in the Age of Colorblindness. And she says more African Americans are under correctional control today in prison or jail on probation or parole than were enslaved in 1850, a decade before the Civil War began. And what is going on? They have what are called privatized prisons. This means all of those black people are forced to work for free. Because according to the 13th Amendment, it says slavery shall not exist in these United States except for punishment of a crime. That means all you have to do to get black people back into slavery is to say you committed a crime. Now, I've talked to my continental African brothers and they say, well, all black people are criminals. I saw it in a music video. So you can have your PhDs, but even your own black brothers and sisters here on the continent will see you as a criminal because that's what white people need to do. Because when they had this, they decided that anytime it was time to pick cotton, there's now a crime wave. Or what are you doing? Do you have a job? You are loitering. Now we have to convict you, and now you have to pick all of the cotton for free. And what the whites said, they said, this is even better than slavery. During slavery, you had to give them food and clothes and shelter, even in the winter when they're not working. This one, you can arrest one, work him to death, and then when one dies, just go arrest another one. This is much better than the slavery they were doing before. So that's what they call convict leasing. I take a convict, now lease you out to lay railroad tracks. If you wonder how all of the railways got built there, it was through, in the South, it was through black people. All they had to do is say, oh look, you spat on the ground. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. Because it's not required for you to even do it, only that a white man said that you did. And you as a black man have no rights that the white man is bound to respect. That's according to the Supreme Justice of the Supreme Court of the U.S., Taney. We'll come back as we are talking about reparations.
Retribution.
Reparations.
Retribution.
Reparations.
Retribution.
That must be part of our discussion. Again, Michelle Alexander, the same book, The New Jim Crow, she says, more black men are in prison today than at any other moment in our nation's history. She's talking about the U.S. More are disenfranchised today than in 1870. Disenfranchised means that you can't vote. Because now all we have to do is say you committed a crime, now you can't vote. Now all you have to do is go arrest all the black people you can get your hands on, and now their vote is meaningless. And you say you practice democracy, right? She says more are disenfranchised today than in 1870, the year the 15th Amendment was ratified, prohibiting laws that explicitly deny the right to vote on the basis of race. So that amendment was added to prohibit all of this thing saying you can't vote. But now they found another way to do it. All we have to do is arrest you, now you can't vote. Reparations?
Retribution.
Reparations?
Retribution.
Reparations?
Retribution.
When we're talking about retribution, we're talking about justice. If you've done wrong, where's your punishment for the wrong that you did? You understand? We'll continue. And again, there are almost double the number of African American men under state and federal criminal justice supervision as male slaves in 1850. So right now, 1.68 million prisoners compared to about 873,000 enslaved Africans. So you have more Africans who are enslaved prisoners right now working for free. You understand? That's the whole point of putting them in prison, for them to work for free. And if you look at a lot of the laptops, I decided to get a laptop that wasn't made in the US because of that. Because HP uses prison labor. These are Africans working for free. Dell uses prison labor. All of this is very well documented. All of these major corporations in the US, Boeing, all of them are using prison labor. This means enslaved Africans working for free. Hope you're following along. Reparations?
Retribution.
Reparations?
Retribution.
Reparations?
Retribution.
And what is going on is not only enslavement, it is genocide. Not by my definition, but by the UN definition of genocide, passed in 1948. And according to that definition, it says, genocide is any of the following acts committed with the intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnical, racial, that's us, or religious group of the group. Do we have that? Do we have that?
Yeah.
Killing members of the group, they're killing us as black people. Causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group. Do we have that? Deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. Do we have that? By all means. Also, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group. Right now you'll see, even in Ghana, Marie Stopes International, she was part of the eugenics movement that moved to sterilize black people. You understand? So now when they're talking about Planned Parenthood, the founder of that, Margaret Louise Sanger, said, and I quote, "We don't want word to get out that all of this Planned Parenthood is to prevent births within the black race, to eliminate the black race." You understand? So we can't allow any of the more intelligent ones or rebellious ones what may occur to. You understand? So this is what we are talking about. And then also forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. So these are all the children who they lock up in prison. So all 5 of these points of genocide we qualify for. Not my definition, but the UN definition. Reparations?
Retribution.
Reparations!
Retribution.
Reparations!
Retribution.
And right now, this isn't only in the US. I've given US examples, but I looked up an article on the BBC, Africans Under Siege in Moscow, and it talks about how nearly 60% of the black and African people living in Moscow's capital have been physically assaulted in racially motivated attacks. 60% of the Africans, you want to go study in Moscow, over 60%. That means if there are 20 of us here now, 12 of them have been physically assaulted because of race. Also, another article from the East African that says why black Africans are becoming the target of racist attacks by Libya's new rulers. This is Libya right now. Supposed to be here in Africa, but what are they doing but targeting the black Africans? Another article on the African Globe, Kenyan author attacked and beaten in Germany. You understand? A University of Florida student was shot in the head by police. This was a Ghanaian who was doing his PhD in the United States. Doing his PhD, not selling drugs, but they don't ask for your passport. Are you Ghanaian? You understand? They don't ask what is your class. Oh, are you rich? Or what is it? Show me your doctorate or your master's. They say if you're black, you get the same treatment as all the black people. Reparations?
Retribution.
Reparations?
Retribution.
Reparations.
Retribution.
Right now in the Pacific Islands, West Papua New Guinea, you have black people who are blacker than any Ghanaian you will ever see, who are being exterminated right now by these Eurasian-looking people. The people you think of when you think of Asia, they're killing the black people who have been there for 50 and 60,000 years. You understand? So as we're talking about reparations, we must also talk about
Retribution.
very good. Another article that came out 2016, October 2016, 4 dead after Libyan Coast Guard vessel attacks a migrant boat. So you hear about all these people who are trying to cross the Mediterranean. And on both sides, the Libyans and the Italians, they are killing these Africans in the water. And so many you never even hear their names. Reparations?
Retribution.
In the UK, Julian Cole, his neck was broken and he was put in a vegetative state. And this is in The Guardian. So Julian Cole's family hit out an IPCC over police brutality allegations. Broken his neck. He was an athlete before, but now he is like a vegetable. When you say vegetative state, this means like Nyadwa. He just has to lay there. You understand? Because they didn't ask, oh, are you an athlete? Oh, are you an A student? They say if you're black, you get what all the black people get. So in addition to reparations, we also must talk about what?
Retribution.
Reparations?
Retribution.
Reparations.
Retribution.
In India, African students protest and demand security because of mob attacks on students. So many black Africans are going there right now, but they don't know that there were already black people there called the Dalits, who founded the Dravidian civilization, the first civilization there. But you have these Indo-Aryans like Gandhi, who fought and killed many of these Dalits. And those who are left, they burn, they rape, you understand? They dismember. So now continental Africans go there and they don't know that they'll get the same treatment that is already given to the Dalits. So again, you have African students protesting. This is on the BBC, mob attack students. So you're black, you're in India, you get the same treatment that they give to the black people who are already there for thousands of years, who have been oppressed by these Indo-Aryans. And that's what Gandhi called himself. He said, we are Indo-Aryans, and he said to the British when he was in South Africa that we are co-colonists, partners in colonization against these same savage Africans, these natives who are 1 degree removed from an animal. That's what he said about you black people. So when we're also talking about reparations,
Retribution.
reparations,
Retribution.
reparations,
Retribution.
both understand that a wrong was done, but one goes beyond that to understand that there must also be punishment and justice for this wrong that's been done. We continue. Amadou Diallo, you may remember this in 1999, that he was an African coming out of Africa, of course, and he was gunned down. He was coming from Guinea, West Africa. He was gunned down and they shot at him 41 times. 41 times. How many times can you kill a man? How many times do you kill a man?
See an elephant?
You understand? Is he an elephant?
Yeah.
You understand? So this is our question. Also, Yuri Jallo, also coming out of Guinea, and he was German police urged to re-investigate the asylum seeker's death in custody. If you know that case, Yuri Jallo, look it up. He had both of his arms handcuffed, both of his legs shackled, and he was put on a bed, and they said that he burned himself alive. But the police, what they did, they added an accelerant. They burned him alive. You could hear on the tapes him screaming as he was being burned alive. Because they're not asking, oh, are you coming from Guinea or Ghana? They say, if you're black, you are a target of genocide throughout this world. Because even if you get a lump cash sum, none of that goes towards retribution. Reparations?
Retribution.
Reparations?
Retribution.
Reparations?
Retribution.
The one that I mentioned before, this is Kofi Adu-Brempong. Look up his name. You can go online and look up his name. And this was a PhD student, doctoral student, who was shot in the face. So it says US student was shot in the head by police, and there was a documentary we showed at African Studies called In His Own Home. In his own home. He was in his home. This isn't like he's out at Makola stealing. No, he's in his own home. The police kicked in the door, they shot him in the chest, shot him in the head. Because they didn't ask, are you doing your doctorate? You understand? And those are, on this side, you can actually see him in his hospital bed, laid up. This is him. A PhD student, a Ghanaian. And many Ghanaians I speak to, they want to rush to America. I say, go. You take my place. I know what's there, waiting for you. So in 1951, there was a report called We Charge Genocide, which was delivered to the UN. It was edited by William L. Patterson, and it was entitled We Charge Genocide, a historic petition to the United States for relief from a crime of the United States government against the Negro people, because it was understood that the United States government was perpetrating genocide according to the UN definition of genocide. So this isn't a new thing. Back in the 50s, we were saying that we're subjected to genocide and nothing has changed. So again, if we're talking about repair, how do you repair what's still in the process of being destroyed? Can I use one hand to beat this young lady and then use the other hand and say, oh, I'm trying to make her okay? You can't. It's impossible. And this is a picture of William Brown in 1919. And I want to take this around so you can see it. If you can see this, this is him being burned alive. Being burned alive. All these white people are here in the background, and they are burning him alive. This is what happens to black people every day. I want everyone to see this very well. Being burned alive in 1919. His name is William Brown. I don't want you to just see this and think it's a nameless person. This was a man just like you. Just like you. Had a family, had loved ones being burned alive. This is the United States. The place that everyone wants to rush and go to. This is what happened in the United States as a photograph. Now, some people, when they think of reparations, they think of a lump sum. Give me some cash. $1 million, $1 billion, $1 trillion, whatever it is. But for those who think that way, I don't know if any of those are here, but I want us to start thinking about that. For this man's life, let's do an auction. 5 Ghana cedis for this man's life. Is his life worth 5 Ghana cedis? No. Okay, let's raise auction. Come on, raise your hand. 10 Ghana cedis for this man's life. 20 Ghana. No, do I have some pesos? 20 Ghana, 50 pesos. 100 Ghana, come on. $1 million Ghana. Oh, come on. This man's life. $1 billion Ghana for this man's life. You don't want it. So maybe we need to start rethinking when we think about reparations, and also consider reparations, reparations, reparations. Now I want you to notice the position he's in, because this is 1919. Remember his position as he's laying there. Because this is 2016. Philando Castile, who was shot and laying in this exact same position. You understand? not much has changed between 1919 and 2016. He was shot, and very recently, last month, his murderer was let off with no charges. The one who murdered him on video camera was freed, because that's what whites have been doing for the last 5,000 years. So I didn't get any bids in my auction last time for that man's life. Maybe this man's life. This man's life, 1 Ghana CD for this man's life. 1 CD, 50 pesos. Anyone? Come on, I'll give some money. 200 Ghana. 10,000 Ghana. Oh, I know, it's the wrong currency. $100. Am I speaking the right language now? Dollars, euros, pounds, 100 pounds, million pounds, billion pounds. I think you're getting the point that I'm driving at myself.
Life is more precious.
Life is more precious than paper and cotton. The thing that they are trying to give us for each one of those lives, I've just only mentioned 2 people, not over 200 million Africans. I've mentioned 2 people and I can't get, but this is what they're saying. A lot of people, when they talk about reparations, they say, just give me some paper and call it $1. Give me some paper just like this, call it £1. Give me some paper just like this, call it €1. And then we'll shut up. Those 200 million Africans who are buried in the largest graveyard that we are standing beside right now, the world's largest graveyard is right here.
Yes.
If the color is not perfect blue because there's so much blood in there, the color has changed now. So again, when we're talking about this, we are not only talking about reparations, reparations, we're also talking about divine, righteous retribution. This is justice. The world's oldest legal system and moral system in the history of the entire world was right here in Africa. They called it Ma'at. And it stood for truth, justice, righteousness, balance, harmony, reciprocity. Reciprocity means ensakon and saba. That's retribution. So again, when we talk about reparations, there are other people who talk about not only dollar reparations, it's like George Jackson. He has a book called Blood in My Eye. He was a political prisoner. And he said, I'm going to charge them reparations in blood. He said, if you took blood, you have to pay back. What blood? And there's a song by United Front. I want to play it briefly. And he says the exact same thing.
Lynched and hung, I'ma give you a slug. And when it comes to reparations, we gon' take it in blood. Yeah, I'm the
Lynched and hung, we're gonna give you a slug. And when it comes to reparations, we're gonna take it in blood. So this is another thing that's going on in popular culture, because not everyone can be bought off. And just give me 20 Ghana CDs, I will shut up. And all of my descendants will shut up. From the largest graveyard, we can't mention it again, because you took the bribe. I hope you're following. And also, there's something called the Golden Rule. Some of you may have heard of it through the Bible, but that was plagiarized from the oldest source, which is over 4,000 years old, and it can be found in Smi and Saketipen, and that's a book by Aikwe Arma, a Ghanaian author, who's translated the text from hieroglyphics, right, into English, and it goes like, do unto another, so that he may do likewise. Back to you, right? So you think, oh, this is a new thing, it came with the Bible. No, our African ancestors carved this in stone 4,100 years ago. That means Sako and Saba, right? And also in Yoruba, this is coming from the Oduifa. It's like Afa, among the Ewe, among the Fon, so forth. And in it, it says in Yoruba, and I'll translate it, it says, Enito Sheurere, Komurasirere, Shika Shika, Komurashikare, Atore Atika, Okonkigbe. And it translates to, one who does goodness should get ready for goodness. One who does wickedness should get ready for wickedness. With goodness and badness, neither one goes unrecompensed. This means, again in Yoruba, that whatever a person plants is what he or she will harvest. You thought that this is coming from some white people who brought you a Bible. We've been saying this for 4,000 years here in Africa. That's where they plagiarized it from. Reparations? Retribution. Reparations? Retribution. Reparations?
Retribution.
So in conclusion, eshe aniche yedamwase matondo maminge asanteni sana murakoze jerengenje yai wala don. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Reparations!
Retribution.
Reparations!
Retribution.
Reparations!
Retribution.
Retribution, divine, righteous retribution.
Yes.